What's going on, Jerome? It's beautiful Tuesday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. He sees you when you're pooping. That's right. So first off, some news yesterday. Myles Garrett requesting a trade out of Cleveland because he does not believe land anymore. And Myles Garrett, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, 102.5 career sacks, 7 straight seasons of double-digit sacks, and 6-time All-Pro, blah 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 blah, superstar, absolute star. 29, going to be 30 in December, but still has a significant chunk of his prime left, right? And of course, everyone and their mom just like, hey, all 31 other teams need to be interested. And of course, the Vikings, pretty good on the edge, right? With AVG, Grenard, Diamond Dallas Turner, also Garrett, a true blue, hand-in-the-dirt 4-3 defensive end. Does he fit into the Flores scheme? Well, if he doesn't, change the scheme. That's what it comes down to, right? Don't be so rigid with your scheme. If you get a future first ballot Hall of Famer plopped into your lap, like in the middle of his prime, you change things around. And it's a very, very far-fetched, but I obviously would trust Brian Flores to find a way to incorporate Garrett in the defense. I think that he wouldn't mind that challenge, right? And AVG, Turner, Grenard, hell, maybe they'd be part of the trade, don't know, but perfectly fine with them. But also, all three of them with Myles Garrett. I mean, come on. Speaking of getting buckets without having to blitz all the damn time, would be kind of nice, right? But far-fetched. I just don't want him to go to the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, or the Eagles. That's it. Or I don't know how they could work it out, but the 49ers, I don't think that'll happen, especially since they're going to pay Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's going to get $60 million a year. Oh my gosh. It's going to be great, man. Also, news later in the day, Kupp informed everyone on social media that the team said, hey, we're going to trade your ass, or more than likely we're going to cut you because no one's trading for a $12 million contract for a receiver who's going to be 32 this year. Just not going to happen right now. This one actually, I think, has some legs because the Vikings won't have to give up significant trade capital. And also, Kupp is likely going to be cut. And also, he's probably not going to make a ton of cash in free agency. Plus, he wouldn't count against the comp picks if the Vikings do sign him, since he was cut and doesn't have an expiring contract. And I do think that Kupp, even though he is 32, would have a little something to contribute as a slot receiver, security blanket, etc. So I think this one has a chance of happening. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the connections with Kevin O'Connell from the Rams, Wes Phillips from the Rams will weigh heavily, but we'll see what Kupp indeed wants to do. Also, some of that people want to do. So the Raiders decided to turn the page on Antonio Pierce, signed Pete Carroll at 73, and now they hired Chip Kelly away from the Ohio State University, former Oregon Ducks head coach, former Eagles and 49ers head coach Chip Kelly. He's back again. Guess who's back? Kelly's back. And I do think that this is a smart hire by Pete. And I do think that, Chip learned a lot over the last couple of years. You're head coach at UCLA, OC at the Ohio State, won a national title. And I think that he's going to incorporate a lot of the college ideas into the National Football League. Now, he did do that for a stretch with the Eagles, but then he was just like, hey, my really talented players, Shady McCoy and Deshaun Jackson, get rid of them. And the main thing about Chip Kelly is he's the highest paid coordinator in the NFL right now at $6 million, which Flores, that's pretty good news for Flores if they want to freshen up his contract. But Chip is obviously the head coach in waiting with Pete Carroll, so having him there. And the question is, how does this affect Sam Darnold? Right? Does Sam Darnold fit into a Chip Kelly offense now? It's not the Oregon offense from back in the day, with Marcus Mariota running all over the place, but I do think that Darnold's movement skills and also his ability to make quick reads, even though he doesn't get rid of the ball, he knows that it's there, he still doesn't throw it. I do think that does mesh with what Chip Kelly wants to do. Look at what Will Howard did at Ohio State this year. Is it a spot where they pick up Mariota with his Oregon ties, they pick up Sam Darnold, and then they draft Will Howard day 3 at some point? Could be something. Or could completely take Darnold off the table with the Raiders. Who knows? But speaking of quarterbacks, JJ to JJ. Yes, I can't wait until that's a thing, because obviously that's going to be a mainstay for PA. JJ to JJ, and 18 is loose. right? But also it's going to be every new broadcaster that comes into town, whether it's Kevin Burkhardt, whether it's Kevin Harlan, whether it's Ian Eagle, whether it's Noah Eagle, whether it's Gus Johnson. It'll be like JJ to JJ, but it's okay. As long as they're hooking up, it's going to be great. But it's kind of weird to think that the careers of these two are greatly going to determine how myself and a lot of Vikings fans feel about sports for like the next decade, right? And I just hope it works out, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be very unhappy. So it's like if the Wolves had traded Anthony Edwards to the Lakers for a first-round pick in Anthony Davis and his old ass. I don't know. But also, Persuasion pointed this out. J.J. McCarthy is up to minus 350 now to be the starting Minnesota Vikings quarterback week 1 in 2025 per Bet Online AG. Pretty significant favorite to be starting. So not Darnold, not Daniel Jones, not anyone else TBD, not Aaron Rodgers. That's right. It continued. For those who don't gamble, who is that? Life is a gamble. You'd have to bet $350 to win $100 in profit, and minus 350 has an applied probability of 77.8%. So I don't think that it's going to be anyone else. So you're knocking down all the wood. Hopefully JJ's knee is good to go, and this dynasty starts in 2025, as Darnold is tagged and traded to the Raiders for like a third-round pick. We'll see. Also, we'll see. This is great. The Bears on CHSN, Chicago something Sports Network. Or maybe it's CH is just Chicago. Doesn't matter. ESPN's Courtney Cronin, former Vikings reporter, is reporting that Bears GM Ryan Poles is expected to receive an extension that aligns with Ben Johnson's 5-year deal. This news just gave the entire NFC North an extension as well, where Ryan Poles is terrible. Did you trade number 32 overall for Chase Claypool, who's learning Canadian right now? Or, hey, how did the Nate Davis contract work out? Huh? That was a good one. TJ Edwards, you gonna cut him too? Probably. It's okay. I know that Poles was the finalist with Kwesi when the Vikings found a new GM in 2022. I'm really glad that the Bears got Ryan Poles, right? Because obviously he and the Bears take him back to North and never give him back. Wait, are they rewarding him because he was the one who got Ben Johnson, but really it was Kevin Warren? Okay. This just has disaster written all over it, and it's going to be beautiful because Poles is not good as a GM, but other than that, he's really good. But here's the thing, too. If he gets a 5-year extension and this thing goes south of Ben Johnson, they will never be fired because the Bears' ownership is cheap as hell. So they're just going to play this out because they won't be paying 2 GMs and 2 scouting staffs and 2 coaching staffs and 2 head coaches. Ain't going to happen. All right, so it's going to be great. Take it back that North, huh? Speaking of taking back, I wish that the Vikings were indeed taking back the NFL this last year. And in hindsight, obviously it's really easy to play the red board, and it's just like, well, the Vikings were seen as a rebuilding season, over under 6.5 wins and 14 wins in Sam Darnold and blah 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 blah. Right? Most wins for a wild card team in NFL history, but just the way it ended was bad. Right? And also, the celebration after the Packers game, and I know that a lot of Packers fans and even a lot of Vikings fans were like, ooh, won the Super Bowl. Yeah. But basically, it was a great moment. I mean, Sam Darnold was embraced as the team's quarterback. Kevin O'Connell got that smirk. He's like, yeah, I built this culture. I fixed Sam Darnold's ass, too. It was broken. But the line from Andy Bernard at the end of The Office, quote, "I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them." This was peak oil for the Vikings in 2024. They didn't play a single decent quarter of football after this. 0 for 8. It's just rough. Just rough, man. Just so frustrating. And I know at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you came in with lowered expectations, but that doesn't salve over the hurt. Everybody hurts sometimes, especially after this day. Something that makes me feel good is Kwesi at the Senior Bowl. So Kwesi doing his diligence down there. Maybe you saw Gray Zabel, a little bit of Walter Nolan action. Absolutely love to see that. Deion Walker, sure. Plus Kwesi is rocking the NBA on NBC trucker hat, which is fantastic. It's good to go. I love that my GM wears this hat because this just makes me feel so good. it's a throwback to when I was a kid, because it used to be like, what was on NBC? It was there was a show called Hang Time, where it was like a basketball team, and like Reggie Theus and Dick Butkus was the head coach, and they had some other good shows on there. NBA Inside Stuff with Summer Sanders and our guy Ahmad Rashad. Let's go. Which Ahmad Rashad's career arc has to be studied. So he was a stud receiver with the Vikings. Vikings Ring of Honor inductee, and then he just got into the media and became Michael Jordan's best friend, and he just started being a basketball like media person. It was great. It's awesome, man. Plus, and then it was like the NBA Inside Stuff, and then there was usually a game on like Sunday at noon for the NBA, and I just remember the music. Just the round ball rock from John Tesh. Da 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 basketball. Da 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 basketball. It's just great. All right, so I just love that Kwesi is on that same wavelength, and he's my guy. Like, extend Kwesi forever. Hey, Kwesi should have an extension that is $1 more, and for the concurrent amount of time as Ryan Poles. Like, if Ryan Poles can get an extension, Kwesi can too. Hey, those drafts, just ignore those drafts. Like, F them picks. Just stare at the free agents, stare at JJ McCarthy and Diamond Dallas Turner, and stare at the UDFAs. And then we're good to go there. Anyways, that's it. Vikings news up on this beautiful, glorious, wonderful Tuesday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.